Hello, and welcome back to another deep cut. I am Lauren Brenai, and I have a 400-hour simming goal, but this is just a deep cut of some behind the scenes for my aspirational series. And this was a labor of love. I spent a total of 9 hours. Officially, it was 9.6. So, about 10 hours remodeling and redesigning this Bao's home. For this particular living room, and you'll see also in the video a kind of hallway laundry area upstairs for Bao and his daughter, whose name I still don't know. So I continuing the rustic. I wanted this living room to have a brick wall, kind of like if Bao had come into the house and gutted it, but wanted to keep the historical facade pieces like the brick wall. It continues all the way into the kitchen, I believe. But you'll see me struggle because I didn't want it to be too yellow or too red, the brick wood paneling combination. And then the floor, because of the wood paneling, I eventually have to figure out a way to make it match or at least be cohesive with the wall. The wood paneling brick wall combination. The house already had pet stuff, so I went ahead and also gave Bao and his daughter a puppy. So they have a full life. And what I'm doing right here is I took like my top 5 bricks and started placing them next to the wood paneling to see which tone I like the best. The steps gave me the business in this one. Because again, I wanted to include rustic, modern, industrial rustic. So I wanted there to be black metal accents all over the house. But I also wanted there to be it to feel like someone who builds from scratch and someone who likes the outdoors would love this place. So you'll see that again. You will see baby things all throughout. You will see kid things all throughout. Bao does not play about his babies. I don't think I remodeled that little bathroom. Oh no, I need to go back and do that. But anyway, we are continuing in our deck from Best Self, the Icebreaker Starter Pack. We are now on Experiences card. And that is I should have turned some lights on so I could see. Experiences. All right. What's the best job you ever had? So experiences, what's the best job you ever had? The best job I ever had, for me, it would be ironic because I don't know if ironic is the right word. I should know better as an English teacher. But I fought being a teacher for years. I never wanted to go into the official teaching field. I never wanted to be a career teacher, though I've always been good at teaching. But I had taught abroad for 2.5 years, and it was the best job I ever had in my life, and I recommend it to anyone who speaks English and has a degree. Just look up, and it doesn't even have to be a degree in teaching. And the requirements may be a little bit different now, where you have to have like a TEFL or a TESOL or something like that. But most programs just require a degree or be in pursuit of degrees, and be fluent in English. So you could be a native English speaker, or your fluency is to the point where you can speak like a native speaker. And just take a year and teach abroad, even if teaching's not your thing. Even if you have no interest in in teaching, the experience of going abroad, seeing how cultures experience life, and learning how good or bad your culture and your country is worth the experience of traveling. I taught in a country where we had 2-hour lunch breaks. People valued education seriously. They took it very seriously. I was making bukus. A buku amount? Boku. I know it's a French stem word, buku. A lot of money, y'all. I was making a lot of money just teaching what I knew because I spoke English. I would suggest too that you research the country you're going to, because as a black woman, I was a cultural anomaly. I think that's the word, but I was very unique to the particular culture that I taught in. So there were instances where the children that I were teaching would say things that they could relate to, but it could feel racist or low-key racist, even though it's really more the kids have no reference for you outside of the cultural things. So I was wearing my natural hair in a fro in school one day, and one of the younger kids was like, "Oh my goodness, your hair is like Michael Jackson's." Now, I knew for a fact that child was too young to know Michael before the press, but the fact that he knew Michael with the afro made me very impressed, and I took it more of a compliment than anything. This is the laundry upstairs area that I thought was very cute. For some reason, the laundry is not working, where they can't wash clothes, and I don't know what that's about. But since I'm not using the house for real right now, I don't care because it's cute. But if I ever go to use the house, I'll figure it out. But I was very proud of this area. I thought this was very cute and was like, take notes, put this in your house next time, Lauren. But yeah, so my best job ever was teaching English abroad. It was a great experience in learning confidence, because children can smell fear from a mile apart, from a mile away. But they were also very different from my culture, where they called you by your first name and the kids can come up to you and hug you. And it felt more personal as a teacher. They didn't care how creative I was. They didn't care what I wore to work. I had all different kinds of hair colors. I didn't have to deal with the rigmarole and the unnecessary monitoring of my physical appearance while I worked there. So that was like so great for me. They didn't care how I taught as long as I made the information clear. It was just so much creative freedom in the teaching experience, and in the fact that I wasn't micromanaged on my appearance and how I presented myself at work. Of course, school appropriate in terms of their children around, but I just feel like the culture that I come from, it's very strict. It's very Mr. or Mrs. with the last name. They very much try to enforce authority and censorship at a very young age in the school system I grew up in. And so I had impeccable teachers that made it work with the stressors of all of these stipulations. And I do come from a culture that is you have to care about the students, and you have to be, there are certain lines that you can't cross here because of the history of this country that I currently live in. So but teaching abroad was the greatest job I ever had. I ever recommended. And I didn't know the language, so I actually studied a completely different language in high school and college. So I went over there with no language. So language is not a barrier unless you refuse to adapt to your environment. And if you refuse to learn, then it'll make it harder for you. In this particular part, I was trying to make like a little cute little cozy spot that the daughter could like play with in the hallway right outside her door, make that whole her space. But eventually that became a completely different thing. I think it became a third bathroom in the house. But so teaching abroad was impeccable, and I look forward to doing it again. That's what I was saying. I was saying it taught confidence, because again, kids can smell fear from a mile away, and respect felt earned in a way while teaching. They respected you. They loved you for sure, and the kids responded. One of my best, my mentor, the teacher I would not give up. So glad I had her as my introduction to teaching, and her as my professor, mentor. Her name was Rosa. And the way that silence worked on her kids, if she sat there quietly or if she was whispering while she spoke, the kids just started being quiet because they knew they had to listen, and they knew she wouldn't repeat herself. she just had a way of kindly commanding a space. She respected the students. She listened to the students. She took their concerns into thought. She made moves that included the students, and I really loved watching her work and learning from her and being engaged in working with her. And she got to a point, I think my last year there, definitely my last 6 months, she left me in the classroom with the kids by herself. She was like, I'm gonna go do something, and she would leave me with them for most of the class, if not all the class. She would let me teach lessons as I felt like teaching lessons. I invented so many very cool educational games while I was abroad teaching. So I recommend it. I just also, take into consideration when you do go, you are entering a new culture and you are not the dominant person. And if you're not going to be willing to be a part of the culture, engage in the culture, then you shouldn't go and teach in a different culture. I think you do have to be open-minded when you go into that field. You do have to understand that you are coming already with some sort of privilege. So I do know that I am speaking from a place of privilege of even having kind of access to that based on the fact that I speak English. So, be mindful that you're going into another culture and respect that culture and move accordingly. And some things may feel foreign because you are a foreigner. And there are things that you experience that are outside of the norm because you aren't the norm. And it is a different kind of experience having to reassess who you are in a foreign environment. But I think it's worth the experience because, again, it's clarification on who you are, who you're not, what you like and what you don't like. So, but I recommend it 10 out of 10. If you can do, definitely do. I have no regrets from that. I think maybe the only regret I might have had was coming back to my home country. I should have stayed away longer or moved to another country. So, but yeah, this is one of my favorite living rooms. This is one of my favorite living rooms. I love some of look at this. Me still not having control over these walls. But I loved the way the colors came together. This is actually CC. Clearly you can tell by the quality. But I think it's actually nursery CC. Like it was CC that was supposed to be used in a nursery, but it just was too cute. And the color scheme matched really well with the living room. But one of my favorite living rooms to date. You won't see the kitchen in this particular episode. You'll see it in the next episode. But the kitchen gets its own episode because it was so cute. Oh. Yeah. So I really, really love this house. I think one of the fantasies I have about this house is that it becomes one of those things that someone with like actual interior design experience or someone sees it and was like, I want my house to look just like that. And I would love to see the actual physical manifestation, like the physical reproduction of these rooms or these homes that I build in The Sims. That's like a fantasy of mine that I would love to see come true. So that would be something I would look forward to with this series, is if people come along and say, oh, I love how she designed that, or ask me to design. They'll send me a blueprint of their room or whatever, and I rebuild it in The Sims, and then I redesign it and, see what, I would love to just do that. If that could be a career for me, I'd have it. But yeah, so I love this. That is also CC. It's supposed to, I don't want to say trap your children inside of it, but it's a playpen where the kids can safely play and they get their skills are enhanced and such by playing inside of it. We are reaching the end here. I hope you've been entertained. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to this. Please let me know one of the best places or work experiences you've ever had. Eat you some food, drink you some water, and may love and light guide you always. May y'all be a great day, okay? I'm out. Oh, and enjoy this if I finish too early. I'll be timing these weird. Bye, y'all.